We on the night, boom down, ding ding. We on the night. What's up, everybody? It's WrestleZone, an Impact Wrestling post show. We got those. We got them at WrestleZone.com. Our very own boss man, Bill Pritchard, he's taking it off the checklist because we're getting at it right now. 4 dudes talking about pro wrestling on a Tuesday. There's nothing else really going on, honestly. I don't think there's anything else that you need to follow right now at the moment. And maybe you don't want to follow those things. And so hopefully we are a good distraction for you on a Tuesday going into a Wednesday or whenever you're watching this or listening to this on the WrestleZone podcast feed. I'm Kevin Kellam. Joining me over in the right-hand corner from Pittsburgh, PA, home of the dreaded Pittsburgh Penguins. I will always hate Mario Lemieux with all essence of my being as a Chicago Blackhawks fan. It's Dominic DeAngelo. How you doing, Dom?
What's up? Hey,
all right. Down below me, the man throwing a temper tantrum, always in the state that is shaped like America's, part of that body. We're talking Robert DeFelice. Robert's down there. How you doing, Robert?
Fortune 4. What is going on?
This thing. You're throwing the Fortune 4.
This thing. Like, let's go.
Fortune 4. Wow.
Let's go.
And the only real adult with us today is boss man Bill Pritchard. Boss man Bill Pritchard is just waiting to send all this to the principal's office right now. Maybe that's where we are. We're all in the principal's office, guys. We're talking Impact Wrestling.
Homeschool.
Yeah, homeschool. WrestleZone dad, Bill Pritchard, is here with us. Bill, let's get into Impact Wrestling. We'll get into the details, the segments, and everything like that. But Impact in a 2 weeks out of Bound for Glory, there's still a lot of crazy stuff. We had a wedding that turned into a Who Shot JR takeoff segment last week. We have a new champion. We have new challengers. There's some fresh things going on with Impact Wrestling right now.
Yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks for them all across the board. New world champion. I think not too many people expected Rich Swann to win. Like, no offense, but Eric Young seemed like a sure bet. Seemed like the Good Brothers were going to walk away with the tag titles. They didn't win. North, 2-time champs, and Kylie Ray disappeared. At the time, we didn't really know what was going on, and now we know a little bit more. So I think everybody's expectations have definitely changed in the past week or so with Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Bound for Glory was obvious. I didn't think it was a bad show. I thought it was a very eventful show for them. They pivoted with the Kylie Ray situation, which I don't think they have much control over. You have to be as considerate and compassionate as you can. But I mean, Dominic, they had some great stuff. They have some definitely wacky stuff that I think some people are not on board with. But the main event tonight was really, really cool with Rich Swann and Eddie Edwards taking on Sami Callihan and Eric Young, Ken Shamrock getting involved. I mean, there is some strength in the roster going down in Nashville, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely strength there. And I think the main event was a kind of a pretty good showcase of that. Also, what we had too was Chris Bay and Trey Miguel. I thought they really stole the show. But I think it really, throughout the whole episode of this week, it really did have a highlight of a who's who for Impact and what they can really build around moving forward. I thought their follow-ups these past 2 weeks after Bound for Glory, they did a pretty good job overall. And, again, with comedy and stuff, I'm not the biggest fan in wrestling unless it's done right. This was kind of, I think the Who Shot Johnny Bravo was kind of done right. Now, it's as ridiculous
you
as
say
it
that
is,
reluctantly. Is your reluctance alarm going off there, Robert? All right.
It is. Look, here's the thing. Impact Wrestling, God love them. They always have a way of staying in the forefront of the industry. Bound for Glory was a fine show. Now they're headed towards Turning Point, gonna have weekly or monthly pay-per-views rather on Impact Plus. Very exciting time for them. New champions that I think more than anything are reliable and can be anchors for the company. And I think they're in a good position going forward.
Reliability, that's an important part. They had Tessa Blanchard as their champion. They really rolled the dice with her last year. That didn't turn out. You have the pandemic. You have all those different things. And I really think after Bound for Glory, we have a better idea of where Impact is. They seem to have a much more steady hand. There was a lot of adaptation, I think, in the early Nashville shows. I don't nearly notice the crowd not being there as much when you have really wacky characters. If you want wacky comedic characters, you're getting plenty of them on Impact Wrestling. We have this Johnny Bravo angle. There was some of it that worked. The opening segment kind of catch you all up with it. So if you haven't watched Impact in a while, they do a good job of not leaving you left out in it, yet maybe talking you into the things that week. This is very crazy. Tommy Dreamer suddenly is Sherlock Dreamer. He's now a detective with a mohawk, and that was very ridiculous. And they're making references to Dallas. Is it Dallas? Was Dallas the show where they shot JR?
Yeah, Dallas we shot JR.
Right, I don't know if any of us. I don't think any of us were alive when that happened.
I certainly was not.
Maybe barely we were.
Yeah. So I mean, they did this crazy wedding thing. Weddings in wrestling are. People say, why do they have weddings in wrestling? But there's so many of them. It's such a ridiculous, Jerry Springer thing that's been going on for the last 25 years. They do plenty of it. What do you think? Too much comedy or just enough, Bill? I'm on the side of like Dom. When it hits, it hits. Some of it was funny tonight. Some of it was okay. Some of it didn't hit. I'll talk about the stuff that did hit. The Johnny Bravo stuff was interesting, but I'm also like, Johnny Bravo, a former referee, is now like a central player in your show, or at least he's going to get somebody over through this. Where does this go? Does it turn serious or does it stay funny the whole time? Is it too much? How do you feel about it?
I actually liked it. Like the delivery, the execution last week. I felt like some of the wedding was a lot of passable stuff, missable stuff, just because, as you said, weddings in wrestling, they're going to go wrong. So you more or less wait for the thing to go wrong. But I liked,
you're getting a car crash.
It wasn't a fight. It wasn't like somebody got shot. Like I thought it was kind of funny, and Dreamer's like over dramatic, like that at the end, like was icing on the cake. But then I feel like they kind of missed this week, like in the follow up, because they had, I know that 2 segments or maybe 3. I know he did the interview with.
They did the initial one with him and Scott D'Amore, their authority figure.
Okay, so
I think I'll say this, maybe the best authority figure in wrestling. I really like him. Yeah. I don't mind him being on TV so much because he's not a heel authority figure. He's always sticking it to the heels. He delivers his dialogue organically. It doesn't feel on the page. And he always has a headset on. He always feels like he's just coming from doing something more important. And he's very annoyed with everyone. Like he has a character.
It's the rolled up papers.
Yeah, he always has rolled up papers. He's always negotiating a contract or something. He's playing like an authority figure, would. Not just coming out and making matches.
I like that dynamic, and I've said it before, like his interactions with Rohit, and I'm sure we'll get to Heath later. But the segment with Dreamer was good. It was effective, but then I felt like the stuff with Johnny Swinger kind of went on a little long, and then.
A lot of Johnny Swinger.
The final one was cool because they flashed the mug shots real quick.
Yeah, I did enjoy the mug shots. The mug shots, they kind of made it cool.
But
who did it? Who did it? Come on, put on your who shot Bravo? Give me your picks, guys. Who did it?
That's what I didn't like.
Come on, we're WrestleZone. We're supposed to have the scoops. Where are the scoops? People want the scoops, Bill. They want
my thoughts
in the
sometimes I wonder if they stole it now.
Don, give me your picks. Who shot Bravo?
God, that's the thing. I don't know. It was all kind of. I mean, they did do the mug shots, so you got a quick glance at who was who. As far as I do want to say that the wedding segment last week, I thought the person who really was the MVP of that segment was James Mitchell. Like his delivery and his calling for the ring imp and different things like that. And then him just the fact that he was waiting for something bad to happen was funny too, because he'd be like, all right, does anybody have any objections? And he's like, okay, nobody? What? All right.
I also enjoyed his bedazzled jacket that made him look like the manager of a strip club.
Right. And I think he fits that lane perfectly that you want to have for that.
Devil's got to make money, boys.
Right. As far as who's done it, I'm going to go with James Mitchell. Why not? I mean, he's my choice early on.
DeFelice, what about you? There's a lot of bad people down there.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say lights were out. We don't know. The demon inside Rosemary split briefly from Rosemary's body,
Mhm.
shot Bravo so that Bravo could then be taken to the underworld and become half demon, such as Rosemary. It's all
He's in a coma. We don't
It's
know if
all
he's actually
for
present
love.
with us.
so it's all for love. But in order for them to truly be married, he also needs to merge with the demon. It's all for love.
There we
You
go.
lost
We get
there.
Mecha Bravo. We get Mecha
You
Bravo. That's
lost
what we're
me
getting.
there.
Bill, who did it? Who done
I'm
it?
going with
Come on.
Rosemary too. Just
You think it's
because
Rosemary?
The entire time I thought the whole point of Wrestle House was she was gonna like have some kind of virgin sacrifice with him, or some like blood ritual, like some really like weird, some weird shit. And
Everything on Impact feels like something they wanted to do on Being the Elite in terms of just wacky, ridiculous like things, and they went with it. I'll say this about it. There's some of it I don't like. Like, I did think there was a bit too much of Johnny Swinger. I think he's fine in small doses. I think they gave just a little bit too much of him. They're going to keep him in this because they're having fun with it. Everybody involved with it looks like they're having fun. Is it too much comedy, though? Is it too much comedy on a wrestling show? Is it because this feels like the main event? We may have had Rich Swann, your world champion, in a tag team main event, but this felt like the main event of the show. They opened with it. They went with it almost until the final segment, before they went to the big tag match. This felt like the big thing that was selling the show. Am I wrong? Is there too much funny, Dom? Because you're saying when it works, but when it doesn't, is it too much funny for your money? And by money,
I think they're walking a real fine tightrope here. On Bound for Glory, I thought the comedy really hindered the show itself. When they kind of established this who shot Johnny Swinger thing,
Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. Johnny Bravo.
Too many Johnnies.
that's next.
Right? A lot of Johnnies.
That's next week.
Yeah. So
Somebody came for my gimmicks, brother.
They kind of established it a little bit more, the comedy, a little bit more finer and kind of thing like that. Now, but they still got to be careful because, sure, comedies, a lot of the times it hits and misses. And if you have it too much, you're going to raise your odds of missing more than you're hitting. And they're kind of in potential to do that. But so far, if they balance the scales right, I think they'll be okay. But, you just establish the storyline of Swinger, who shot Johnny Bravo, leave it at that, and then kind of focus, make that your comedy segment, but make sure everything else gets a little bit more serious throughout the rest of the show.
Let's get serious. Let's get in the ring. It's wrestlers exchanging holds and fantastic athletic maneuvers. All right, that is not about story. It is about who is the best not real fighter. All right, let's find out about it. Robert DeFelice, what was your match of the night? I love Chris Bay and Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel used to be a hot player in Impact, but Chris Bay has came over and taken over the scene in the X division. Rohit Raju may be a goofball chicken shiz run from your heel. But it seems like Bay is the star. Did he make the right move by sticking with AEW? Because even though there's no fans there, it feels like he's probably going to get more screen time than he would in Dynamite.
So, Chris Bay is an interesting case in that Impact, for all of the stuff that they have, you can always find the needle in the haystack. You can always find the one angle or character that really makes this show worth watching. And Chris Bay has a unique relationship with Impact in that he grew up a fan. We're now in the generation of guys that grew up fans of Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling, and he wants to be the world champion. He told Sportskeeda, "I want to be the world champion."
He said it tonight. He said it directly to Rich Swann tonight backstage before the tag team match.
I think he could be the one to watch in 2021. And I would say, he had a great match, but if DeOnNA Purrazzo's in the ring, DeOnNA Purrazzo's the match of the night. That is just a fact.
Do you think tonight's was then?
Yes, just because I enjoy. She would be my draw for Impact. That is what I'm watching the show for. Is because I think DeOnNA's just great.
DeOnNA Purrazzo in action tonight against Su Yung. Disqualification finish. It was a little dusty,
little schmozzy.
Yeah, the action in the ring though was good. It felt like
good.
You can't deny that. I'm going to say this: Impact has a very, very strong roster. If you want to go out there and have banger matches, But Bill, they love booking themselves some crazy, dusty, what's going to happen next week after what happened here finishes. They're trying to make you want to watch this show every week. So I understand why they can't just go ahead and give you steak all the time. Maybe they just want to give you appetizers. Am I right? Because I felt like DEONNA Purrazzo and Su Yung was just a sliver of what they could actually do, or even what we got for them on the pay-per-view at Bound for Glory.
I understand wanting to put on a really good TV show, but if you're trying to do these Impact Plus events, like, why not just do it there?
Yeah, why not save the big matches, the big finishes, the big payoffs there? That makes sense.
It seemed like the match was more or less a result of wanting to do those lawyer segments, or what is he, an debater?
Yeah, the barrister.
Yeah, the barrister, whatever. So I feel like they're like, okay, yeah, let's do all these barrister segments, and then, oh yeah, we can get a match out of it, we can get Heath's thing out of it, instead of just like make DEONNA and Su Yung the main event a Turning Point. Like, if I'm not seeing it for the third time in less than a month, like it's more exciting and engaging than, you know, have it this week having the babyface champion lose by disqualification because she's using a chair. Like, you can still do the anything goes match without having this match tonight.
True. And that's something they set up later with Scott D'Amore. We had Heath and Rhino. They're going to sign their contracts, and Scott D'Amore makes it clear at this meeting that, listen, Heath, we know you're injured. You're not going to sign this deal until you heal up. So they're going to keep that going, where they keep teasing that Heath, excuse me. Rhino may have his deal with Impact, but not Heath. This is I don't know, buddy. You got to heal up, and Heath didn't seem too happy about that, and he limped away from the table. Where they go with Heath? This just seems like they're teasing something. Where does it go, Dom? Dom, tell me where this is going. I don't know where it's going. I'm not saying I'm not interested. These guys could be a tag team. Definitely, tag teams are quite the focus in Impact.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see Heath going more heel. He's kind of teased that with his contract negotiations and stuff like that. Rhino's really trying to go all out for him, and did that at Bound for Glory by winning the Call Your Shot gauntlet and all that stuff. And he's really trying to look out for him. And then Heath is still kind of just, hardlining with his contract and what he wants. And so I could see it going that route. Heath, they definitely need to find a more solid lane with Heath, though, because he's somebody that you bring in right away. Like, he was a name. Like, he just got off Raw, that brief segment he did with Drew McIntyre where he stole the show. And then he's kind of just been floating. And it's so with somebody like that, you want to just immediately have an establishment. And then
he also did have a legitimate injury at Bound for Glory. You know what I mean?
He did. He did. But
So
even before that, they, all that happened and stuff, I was just surprised that they didn't really make the most of him throughout that process since then.
I think they actually got a happy accident out of what happened, because, like you said, I agree. It was starting to get a little long in the tooth, and felt like they were running out of stuff to do with him for the free agent stuff, especially since we've already seen it in WWE.
Yeah.
But the injury thing is unfortunate. It's a real injury, but I feel like they're making chicken salad out of chicken shit. It puts a new spin on the same thing. And when I first saw it last week, I was like, holy crap, they're actually doing a storyline and keeping him on TV based on a real life injury. So I think they need to be mindful of how long they let this go on, and that's also dependent on how injured he actually is. And they haven't said anything, which, from a coverage perspective, it's slightly annoying. Like, I think they should be more honest about the real life stuff, especially in the social media age. But as far as putting it on TV and stuff like that, I think they're doing a great job with it so far.
I think to some degree it's just maybe even those things that could be a real life story that maybe WWE or even All Elite would just be like, whatever, we'll just let it get out there when it gets out there about an injury or about some real life thing that's going to affect wrestling. We've seen it with the COVID-19 stuff. If it's going to get out there, we'll address it when we need to. With Impact, I see them, it's weird how some real things happen and they want to control their coverage in a different way and how they handle themselves. I think they're in a tougher position where those real life stories could get them some more attention. So they're like, yes, so we'll talk about it on Tuesday night's episode on AXS TV. Where do you think they fit into the scene? Because there's a lot of wrestling that fans can watch. Wrestling is the most active form of entertainment, it feels like right now during the pandemic. I had a fun time watching this show. I like watching the show, and I feel like, wow, I'm spending more time indoors. Are they at a point where there's some angle you think that clicks and people go like, all right, now I got to watch that? Because for Impact, it still is that struggling to find their place in this moving thing where AEW definitely has taken more attention from people. And some people say Ring of Honor is coming up with them really quickly with the Pure Championship, or New Japan, or where you want to go. Impact in that mix, where do they figure out right now? We'll talk about the rest of the show, but you brought up some things that kind of prompted that question in my head. Robert, what do you think? Where is Impact in the mix of everything wrestling right now? Bill, you got a point.
I want to kind of put a bow on the Heath thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out, and it kind of goes with what you're saying about like what's going to make you tune in. When Hell in a Cell was going on, he was doing the live stream for like the live auction or whatever.
The watch along?
Yeah, no, they were doing like a live auction, like autographs and
auction.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Was that with High Spots?
No, it was right on like Impact Facebook. Right. But like I was watching that and I was paying more attention, thinking, oh, you're still having him on. He's injured. Everybody knows about it. He posted a picture from the hospital, so we know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of like, oh, I guess it's out there. Everybody knows about it. Might as well say something. He's like, I'm good, but whatever. I forget his exact quote, but like that was drawing me in because of who it was. He, the big payoff was he's going to get a contract. I mean, I don't see how you make that match without him winning as the result.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was paying just as much attention to that as Hell in a Cell that night, and it's a pay-per-view with months.
And Hell in a Cell was not a boring show.
Yeah, Hell in a Cell was a great show, but I had TV, computer, like
that's our lives, dude.
I'm just saying,
screen.
But are you more conditioned to say, hey, knowing what my job is, let me see if he's going to say something about his injury that I will then need to write up?
Yeah. Bill?
Is that a byproduct?
I didn't hear what Robert said. He's cutting out.
Oh. Is that like a byproduct of the job where you just, you want to watch it more because he might say something about his injury that will need to be written for the website?
I mean, part of it was, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to watch it and see, like use it. I was just kind of like curious from a fan perspective because I was already doing something. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching Hell in a Cell for work purposes and entertainment, but I could have very easily asked somebody else, like, "Oh, keep an eye on this." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Heath is engaging.
He's one of us to watch it.
Heath is engaging. I think I couldn't even tell you who the other. It was 3 nights.
Mm.
I could have done the same thing because it was, I think, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But he's the only one I really watched.
Mm.
So,
I think that really speaks to what you're saying with Heath and how big of a connection he has with fans, like in the fan base. Like he's an organic human being, a genuine human being who we like and root for. So it really says to how much Impact should really hone in on his talent and his ability to do that and make him a focus. I know the injury throws a little bit of a wrench in that works, obviously. We don't know how long or whatever, but for it to get to that point, he should be a big focus on Impact if moving forward for them.
So I think the issue I have with Heath is that he's not doing enough to be taken seriously. Like you just got off of a run where you were the comedy guy. Like, don't you want to be more?
Is that his fault though? That's not necessarily his fault though.
It might not be.
He was good at it. He was good at the role.
When they first brought him on, like I said the same thing. I was like, okay, you're and I cited his interview with Lillian Garcia. I'm sure he did a few of the same, similar quotes, but I remember him saying like he didn't want to do this anymore. Like the free agent stuff was cool, but he had this fire and seemed like he wanted to be taken seriously. But if Impact's the one that's going, okay, here's where you were successful, let's start with this, I think that's okay, because initially I was excited for him, and then they started doing the contract stuff, and I was like,
Yeah, and they're pairing him with Rhino, and he had some, his biggest success recently on television for most fans was probably him winning SmackDown tag titles with Rhino and doing the I have kids stuff.
But this stuff, I think this stuff works as long as they know it has a shelf life, and eventually, like if Rhino and Heath get back together and win the tag titles, I think they need a new dynamic because people already know their partners. They know the cheese and crackers and the cool and all that wacky stuff. I think if they just work together as a tag team and find a new way maybe to be a little more serious and not call back so much to that stuff. I Got Kids is funny, but it's not a Hallmark thing that I think they have a lot more to explore.
Yeah.
You have a new lease on life. I'm surprised to not see him experimenting and really staying in the comfort zone rather than taking the opportunity to fly.
Speaking of, go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. But I think eventually, I wonder what would have happened, and we can play the what if game about Bound for Glory. But I think eventually they're going to have to kind of graduate him to something else. If they continue to do the joke stuff, that's all he's ever going to be. So eventually when they do take him seriously, it's going to be no, you're a joke guy. Look at the comments with Swoggle this week.
Yeah.
Where he was and I thought this week was a great promo. And
Swoggle was very serious this week. They had Dylan Postal, Swoggle on this week. Yeah, he got right into it with Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler. We know both of them from WWE. They have a very publicized friendship. And Swoggle goes off on him. He's plugging his book, and he gets pushed down. Says, "Your run in here is going to be short, just like you." Throws him down. He's being the regular nasty heel, and he's going to push down the little person. They're trying to be serious with Swoggle, and Swoggle has always been portrayed as a comedic side compliment character. He's been involved in some big angles in WWE, sold a lot of merch, got a lot of reactions, had a very long run there. A lot longer than most people would try and just observe about him. But what do you think of a much more stern look here from Swoggle? This guy's been around people that can pull off that stuff. Dom, we're getting stone cold Swoggle. We're getting a serious coming to kick that ass Swoggle.
Well, it's going to take a lot of good follow up continuing with it, because how we know Swoggle is just purely comedy for the most part. There's never been really too serious of a moment with him. So it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some real focus to get him in that scope. And I think this was a good start, at least. Having a buddy shove him down and insult him and all that stuff. But it's gonna take some time, and continuing with Myers in that role as a heel, I think it'll further build him as a bad person, so he can maybe feud with somebody else. But I don't know. It's a tough battle, because
WWE convincingly did that, where people would pick on Swoggle, the audience would feel sympathetic for him, the heel would get his heat and go on to something else. If that's Swoggle's role, that's not a bad role to be in, because then the show on the road.
Ultimately, how are you going to have Swoggle compete against Myers in a match without it seeming, little
mismatched?
I don't know, mismatched. So that's
going to be purely on Brian Myers, and Brian Myers is the one guy who might want to do that for his friend. And if anybody's got a shot at making Swoggle look serious, it's Myers. But how do you then go beyond that? Because I can see the buddy putting over his buddy, but then Will can share.
Whoa! I'm not your buddy, guy.
I'm not your guy, buddy.
Got Bill. I got Bill. There we go. I got Bill to crack. There we go. I'm on the board, fellas.
All right. Hornswoggle is going to tap out Ken Shamrock I think that's what Robert would say.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to get
It's not
all of his
what I was
arms
gonna
around
say.
one
I
foot.
mean, you never know. You never know. The toe lock might do a thing, but I
I
don't know.
want to see it.
He'll lace his legs around his foot and just bite a toe.
I'm gonna snitch tag Ken Shamrock and Sammy Callahan after this.
They might be into that.
Let's talk about
Sammy would do it.
some other ridiculous things on tonight's show. Johnny Swinger. Johnny Swinger was featured in the Locker Room Talk segment with Madison Rayne. This went a little bit long, and Tennille Dashwood and Jordan Grace were on there. They're teasing that they're going to be a tag team of some kind, only for Tennille Dashwood to say, you know what, actually, Madison Rayne, I would prefer you to be my tag team partner in this upcoming tournament for the returning Knockouts tag team title. But then you get Swinger in there referencing, I believe he referenced a steroid as to why his arms were big. He referenced his gimmick bag. He referenced a lot of different things. This is a character that I think he is having 100% fun when he's in there. He had a match with Cody Deaner, which you want to talk about on the show with a lot of comedy in it. The funniest thing in the whole night. Funniest thing in the whole night. I said this before we started tonight was no one is in this TV studio at all. And he's got Cody Deaner in the corner, and he's doing the classic punch him in the corner, and the whole crowd counts till 10, right? And he goes, say it with me, everybody. And no one's in the no one's there at all. It was very crafty. This character is Memphis walking in wrestling boots, and then he used the loaded gimmick fanny pack to win the match. Dominic, Johnny Swinger is making the towns, all right? Making the towns, making the rats happy, filling no seats every 12 inches. I mean, you have the Good Brothers there who played this type of character for WWE in the Southpaw Regional Wrestling Comedy Show, which is one of my favorite things W's done in the last 10 years. But Johnny Swinger, when this started, I wasn't in it. But now, I got to say, I'm on board. Don't put a title on him. Just have him wrestle someone in a goofy match every week and let him be in this weird, crazy Johnny Bravo thing.
I very much enjoyed Johnny Swinger. I think he fits his role perfectly. I think he brings a unique type of comedy to if it would be any show, it would be Impact or whatever. But I think he makes himself stand out. And like him in that Ed McMahon role for Madison Rayne, that segment may have been a little long, but he was still very, very funny. And I thought he kind of stole the segment in a lot of ways.
I thought he did too.
No,
and this is the thing that has like 10 other people on the feed. And he only has a couple lines.
Yeah, his slight references and like it's almost like a Popeye cartoon. If you go back and watch an old Popeye cartoon, you hear like his voice, his little comments, his asides that he makes to himself. And you kind of got to watch out and listen for Johnny Swinger for what he says in a lot of ways. And I think that's a very unique aspect of comedy, especially in wrestling. So.
Bill, how many car rides do you think Johnny Swinger, who's been in wrestling business for like over 20 years, how many car rides do you think he just wrote down stuff from old vets that he's just pulling out and using right now? He's got the rocker gimmick on. He's looking like he's Ricky Morton's son out there. I mean, he's doing it all in this thing.
Can you imagine if he's just like following Marty Jannetty's Facebook?
Yeah,
he's toning it down.
Marty Jannetty has got himself a lot of other news. I don't know if he has to follow everything on Marty Jannetty.
I don't think you want to. Yeah.
Well,
maybe that's where they got Who Shot Johnny Bravo.
Oh my God.
I mean, Marty confessed to a murder, and we're watching one on Impact. So maybe it was Swinger.
He did say.
Are you telling me?
Or he made him disappear.
Bill, I wish I had like the red dots, like I was Charlie on It's Always Sunny, and I just like connect the dots. Are you Marty Jannetty shot Johnny Bravo? So
Jannetty did say he did man disappear, and it was for a gimmick. So I mean, these things can happen. It really can.
Maybe this was the gimmick that Marty Jannetty said he was selling.
It was all long-term booking to get him back on national TV, brother.
You know what? Stranger things
smarter than his arcs, brother.
It's weird how wrestling is. There's so much of it that at some point it has to become meta. You have to have characters that it's like his characters. He's a parody of a wrestler. He's a parody of a wrestler from like 40 years ago. You know what I mean? He's not even a parody of a wrestler from like 20 years ago. He's a parody of a wrestler from like.
And he is like a wrestler from 20 years ago.
What does Dusty the Cat think of Impact Wrestling?
He's leaping in. He's been chirping this whole damn time, man.
He's got hot takes.
Dusty's into it though. Look,
yeah, bring him in. It's Cats, Pats, all
he's gonna loom around here. I don't know what he's.
Look, I think it's a little too Memphis for me. It's a little too on the nose. It's got a shelf life, which if it ends with Jordan Grace kind of kicking him out of the promotion, I'd be cool with it. That's kind of her gimmick on Twitter right now. I'd be all about it. But you got to know you can't do this thing forever.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. And just like WWE's buried some things and they've gone in, oh, this is really cool. People like it. We're going to do it a whole lot, right? I hope Impact isn't going that direction. Let's talk about the main event. We had Eddie Edwards and Rich Swann tag teaming. Rich Swann, the new Impact World Champion, taking on Sami Callihan and Eric Young, the world-class maniac, a maniac about the world. He's an international maniac. And this was a really great match. I thought that Chris Bay and Trey Miguel had a great match. We had Luke Gallows and Ethan Page. That match was more just an angle. It was more just building to an angle for them to like go off on each other. There was a lot of just, I'm going to punch you, get out of the ring. It was fun, but it was just more of an angle. This was a match. I love the tease at the end with both of them nearly tapping out and both the heels, Callahan and Eric Young holding each other's hands so they won't tap out, only for Ken Shamrock to run in and interfere. It was getting really hot, and we have another interference finish. Bill, give me a clean, ring the bell finish. Good guys win, bad guys win. Someone wins. Give me a real winner. There's so many DQ finishes. I don't know. I'm just irked by it. I understand it's going to make me watch the show next week, right? Bill?
Sorry.
Oh, a little bit of a delay. All right, cool. Who's jumping in here? What do you think?
I'll jump in. Yeah, a lot of distraction finishes. I think that was a big problem of Bound for Glory was the distraction finishes and just shoddy, weird finishes too. That not deliberate wins or losses. And Impact's got to be very careful about that. Like they go to that well a little too often, I would say. This was kind of unique in a way for a distraction finish because
so we had three kind of like DQ non-finishes tonight.
Yeah, and it's a problem. But like this final one, like Eddie got distracted, got rolled up by Sami Callihan. He kicked out, so like the distraction was there, but then Sami low blowed him and then gave him his pile driver. So it was a little bit different.
It was a nasty looking pile driver.
Yeah, you still got to be careful with these shoddy, weird, schmozzy finishes. It's a little too much on Impact's part.
Yeah, they didn't
say what you will about the Tessa Blanchard thing. For however it ended, needed to happen in January. I think it was a mistake to move far away from Callihan. Callihan should have stayed central to their main event scene. He's so good. I would let this play with Callihan, Shamrock, and Young because it's a nice trio of crazy people who can do crazy things. I'll flat out say I'm not excited by the idea of a Rich Swann, Ken Shamrock match because to me, I feel like Swann should go to kick him and he should catch the foot and do the ankle lock and Shamrock should be your champion if that's the match you're going for. But I like the pairing, and I think that eventually a Callihan-Eric Young world title match can put a lot of butts in seats if there is able to have butts in seats by the time we get there.
Or if Chris Bay doesn't get himself into the world title scene before then. He's kind of positioning himself for that.
Again, Impact's got a lot of comedy, but the one thing they always have the diamond in the rough. They always make you care. It doesn't matter, even when they were on Pursuit, they still had acts that made you care. That's where this company shines, and they've got enough going on that I think they can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, overall, it was a pretty good episode of Impact. There were some shoddy, maybe less than completely satisfying finishes, but if you give them 2 hours, they give you 2 hours of really fun stuff. If something doesn't click, you're going to get something 10 minutes later, and I think that helps for having a completely taped show. It's not super live. They're doing as best they can. I don't hold it against them. They don't have the budgets of an all-eater WWE, but with what they got, I think they're doing quite a bit. So, round the horn. Bill, we do the 1 to 10, okay? The 1 is you wait in line for 3 hours to vote, all right? And the 10 is, oh my God, I got in and out of there in 5 minutes, right? So just write on your voting experience if it's just brisk and easy, right? So, gentlemen, the 1 to 10 on tonight's Impact Wrestling on AXS TV. I give it a solid 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. Wasn't the best wrestling show I've seen on television, but gosh darn it, it was fun. Bill, what do you say? The boss man puts it down. What do you say?
If we're going from Retribution to Dillinger.
To what? To which one?
Dillinger.
Retribution? This is a faction on Monday Night Raw, Dominic.
No, I didn't hear what.
Retribution to Dillinger. So
Dillinger.
Oh, I got you.
What do you give
You're
it, Bill?
more familiar with this one.
Yeah, right.
I give it a 7. I kind of agree. The Rascals and Chris Bay match, that was pretty solid. Trey Miguel. The Knockouts title match was good, even though it didn't have the expected finish, and there was a solid main event, some good promos, but then on the flip side, there was a lot of shenanigans that didn't need to be there. Like
Shenanigans.
As far as just non-finishes and the DQ, and I mean, I get that they're trying to build to have fans buy the pay-per-view, but I feel like make your TV show as hot as you can, because I don't know how many people are buying the pay-per-view.
Is Turning Point's only on Impact Plus?
Impact,
but it's you still got to make them pay $7.99.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view may be an antiquated term, live special or special event, whatever.
Special event. Right.
I feel like, kind of bookending my comments that we started with, I feel like they should maybe put more importance on the knockout match for Turning Point, but then make the rest of the TV show feel even bigger than it already is.
All right. Here we go, DeFelice.
Here's the deal. Deonna Purrazzo, money. Chris Bay, whole lot of money there. Like I said, Sami Callihan, Eric Young, a lot of money. There's a lot of good things on this show. One thing I would do if I had the overall control of everything, I'd cut it down to an hour. Because I think if you cut it down to a tight hour where you can really accentuate your positives, you have a really strong show. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think very good for Impact.
All right. They got 4 7s right there, guys. That's a
well. Hey, I didn't get my grade yet.
Well, Dominic, I'm sorry. I saw another bald face on the screen, and I thought it was myself talking. All right, there's 2 baldies up here. I didn't mean to leave you out, Dominic. All right, I look at me. I'm trying to suppress a vote on election day. This is awful.
Right, I wrote in Johnny Swinger today. Anyway.
Daddy, did you get Daddy in there? Did you throw Daddy in there? All right, Dom. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. Let me hit myself. Boom! I held head on the microphone.
I'd give the show a solid 9 if they started shooting people week after week.
Right. Somebody should.
There's an idea.
It's like
Murder on the Orient.
They would have got 2 more points from Bill.
Right?
Would have blasted somebody.
Murder on the Orient Express. It was like a book.
Yeah.
I forget what. And then there was one.
Agatha Christie.
The Agatha. It was like they were all on the island, and then people started getting popped one by one, and then you found out.
10 Little Indians.
Yeah, but it was that. I thought they changed that because it was a bad name before that.
Oh, was it? I can't remember.
I thought it was called And Then There Were None.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I think you're right.
But like that stuff, like I know it's a whodunit, but like they should just start shooting somebody week after week. Watch it be like Dreamer.
You know what they did?
He's investigating.
Right,
he's the one that shot him.
They did set it up because there's 10 suspects.
Yeah, right. Watch. I'm putting this on record right now. Dreamer shot Bravo because they're gonna like have some throwaway funny line like, I just needed something to do.
Yeah. And then
we're shooting here, brother.
My rating. I'm with you guys though. I do the point, so like I'll go a 7.2.
Oh, look at him upsell. Look at him.
I'm not upselling. I'm just that was my mindset. I'm on the same wavelength that you guys, and I feel like for Impact, they're kind of all over the place, but they've kind of been like that for a while. So I mean, and they have to, I always think they need to further kind of straighten themselves out and pick a lane, but their lane has kind of been all over the place. So. What it is, I feel it's for what they've been doing and their follow-ups after Bound for Glory, I think have been pretty solid. And this was a pretty solid follow-up, I would say, for what you expect from Impact.
Definitely. Some other news that we're following here at WrestleZone.com. Obviously, we have all of your results for Monday Night Raw, for NXT, for AEW Dynamite. We have all of those. So if you just want results, I can't watch the show, I'm watching the news, I'm watching sports or something like that, always have your second screen up with WrestleZone. So we'll keep you up to date on all that stuff. Other things we're following in the world of wrestling. Obviously, we have an AEW pay-per-view coming up here with Full Gear. I know we have some special content coming up with that, Bill. Can we give them any teases of what's coming up this week that will get people into Full Gear?
Yeah, we'll kind of close it out. On this note, we'll have a new interview with Eddie Kingston tomorrow. Cody media call Thursday, and then coverage and some fun stuff Saturday.
I'm looking forward to Full Gear. I wasn't near as pumped for it like maybe 2 weeks ago, but when they finally kind of filled out the card, I was like, all right, finally, we got some matches here. All right. So I was waiting for some, like, you got me coming with this, so give me something. And last week I was kind of on the edge, and I thought Halloween Havoc was a better show. So I expect maybe for NXT to maybe not have a continued ratings win, but we had a shocker last week with NXT getting a significant ratings win on them. Dom, I know you do 2 Dynamite Dudes every Friday. How does AEW bounce back? And this is their go home, right? Because the pay-per-view is this weekend.
Yeah, this is their go home. So it's going to be, what they have is the face off between Mox and Eddie. And what this is going to be, it's going to be to sell, obviously, like the old school route of selling the pay-per-view. And so how they will follow up, like the thing is NXT doesn't have a whole lot. They have 2 matches that they've promoted for this week. AEW's got a little bit more, I believe. So I think what escapes NXT is the fact that they don't have like a show that they're showcased around. So like there's not a Halloween Havoc this week. So, and they didn't.
Yeah, Halloween Havoc felt like appointment TV. It felt like you had
like something you wanted to really tune into, because not only do you have the nostalgia, you have the aspect of it being Halloween week and all that kind of stuff going in. So, but now they don't have that. So how is that going to be a follow-up? And we've seen this kind of happen before with NXT, is they have like a go-to point television, and then the week after they don't. So I think AEW set itself up, but we also have to factor in all the election coverage that's going on and what will affect that.
Robert, you and I talked about this on the podcast already as well on our Tuesday wrap-up show. So it feels like, don't pay too much attention to the ratings this week. I don't think
numbers will be down.
Numbers will be down. Raw was down. I think Raw was down because news coverage was starting to ramp up as well. And it doesn't feel like we're going to have a complete election result tonight or within the next, even 48 hours sometimes, because you have so many mail-in ballots and different things like that. So guys, don't focus too much on wrestling. Like, focus on wrestling to be entertained and escape the news. So that's why we're doing this show. Right. Robert, would you think is there any if NXT has a success formula here with holiday themed episodes? Pitch me as we close out here. Someone pitch me ridiculous holiday themed episodes that NXT could use to continue to win their ratings battle. Do they do an Arbor Day? Do we do a Christmas episode? What do we do? Do we have a holiday Havoc? What do we got, Robert? Pitch me something.
Yeah, Arbor Day Anarchy. First of all, it's gonna be everybody's a tree. Everybody's a tree.
Everyone's a tree, and they all have branches and they whack into each other.
In the woods.
That's right. Everybody's fighting in the woods. That's where you put the belt on Cameron Grimes, because he's a good old country boy. I think we can do it.
Slamsgiving. All right. It's going to be, you can do your food fight. They love doing food fights around Thanksgiving, right? All right. But you have Slamsgiving. Bill, what do you got? Holiday themed episode of NXT. So you can give an old boot to the butt down south.
I would just do War Games on Thanksgiving night.
That's an idea.
They're not going to move the Survivor Series, so just do War Games.
We're getting War Games. It looks like we're getting War Games with Pat McAfee's team versus Undisputed Era.
That's a good
that looks
point. I didn't
pretty
think
cool.
about that.
Yeah. Now, if they go and put that on TV, then if I'm over,
that's the day that AEW decides. Well, we're going to do Blood and Guts the same night. You're going to have 2 War Games matches.
Yeah, dude, that would be crazy if they both said, like,
wow,
we're going to do
can you imagine?
Could you
imagine?
I miss Survivor Series, like, being tied to a holiday, I guess, because I can't remember ever watching it on Thanksgiving, but like the first event I remember is the one with Luger carving up the turkey.
That was 93, I think.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
VHS.
Was it always like because there was the first few years, maybe the first like
First
6 or
was
7.
the night of, and then it was moved to that.
And then it was the Wednesday for like the next 4 years. It was the Wednesday.
So it was always that week, and then for whatever reason, I think it was Montreal like that year. I think they moved to like November 9th or 7th or whatever, and it just lost its connection to the holiday then. But I mean, we got Halloween Havoc, we got In Your House. Why not do this too? I mean, it's not exactly a shot at AEW, but it's sure going to give people something to talk about.
But you're saying don't even do it on the network, do it on TV. Do War Games on television.
Yeah, why not?
Whew.
Make the bill for it.
And also that would be a big like
people are still going to watch Takeover.
Yeah,
like, they're not watching Takeover for War Games.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, you are on to something. Like if I was, yeah, I would do it on TV. Like if TVs where people see it and because there's plenty of people that just watch the takeovers that are AEW fans. Like I don't know what's going on. I have plenty of my friends that do that too. They're like, what's going on with Takeover? I haven't watched the last 2 weeks of NXT. I'm just all eat or vice versa. I have some friends that are like, hey, are we gonna get a Zoom together to watch Full Gear or something like that? So, I mean, I get it because not everyone watches the shows the same way. So it's definitely interesting. We'll cover it all for you at WrestleZone.com. Robert, I had you do the sign off on the most recent. We don't have Bill on. Bill, do you know the sign off phrase we do when we pitch the end of the episodes?
Do you have a new one that I don't know about?
It's the same
No,
one.
it's the same one.
Bill, it's whatever you want it to be, though.
Yeah,
and really, you are the boss. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, it's enjoy wrestling, but Bill, I can't tell you
screw these guys
wrestling because you have to. It's your job, you know. I mean, employ wrestling. I don't know.
Employ wrestling. Edit wrestling.
No, I enjoy wrestling.
All right, we'll see you guys.